How is it going, everybody? It's me, Captain Paxo, back with another PB analysis video. Seem to be making a habit of these, but you know, that's fine. I kind of enjoy making them. So today we are rewatching my new Lego The Hobbit restricted any percent PB. As you can see from the title, it's 24:46, I think. It probably will be when I recount it. Interestingly, that's about what my summer best is at the start of this run. To provide some context on this run, this is the very first attempt I've done post ESA, post European Speedrunning Assembly. The run I did there was absolutely awesome, performing to like, I think it was 5k live viewers or something, and getting to meet some of the EU guys from the LEGO community and just generally hang out in Sweden. So it was such a great experience. But then I hadn't played for a few days. I had to catch up on some uni work, you know how it is. And then I just thought, you know what, let's do a run. Kind of on a whim, really. I've done nothing all day, so it was quite nice to be able to have a bit of motivation to do something. And clearly I'd done a decent bit of practicing at ESA. Obviously, I mean, I was super nervous for my run. The fact that my run came out to be a 26:13, I'm insanely happy with. Like, that's so good to be able to get that run, such a high level of showcase. Just almost 7 minutes quicker than the estimate I put in at the time I sent off the submission video, and this run got accepted into the marathon. I think it would have been like a 2-minute world record or something, getting a 26. So it's absolutely ridiculous how quick this game has developed. But yeah, I hadn't played for a few days, and you can see there's a little bit of rust here. Like, for example, I would have had P2 closer to P1 in the run-up and then done a jump attack before gem skip. And doing that pushes P1 a little bit further forward, saves maybe a quarter of a second. Unfortunately, P2 got a bit stuck on the door, so I wasn't able to do that. Just a small minor thing, and a couple of other things in the first part of this run. Like, normally I think you can give the whistle at about like low 155, high 154. This was a high 155. Nothing too drastic or anything, but not like mind-blowing pace, you know. And then we had the mining room. The mining room again, pretty straightforward. I think I got a near perfect RNG. Like, this mining room was pretty much as good as it can get, with the exception of maybe like half a second to a second on the building maybe. And I think I got 2 perfect hits rather than 3 perfect hits, but the way I do that only loses a couple of seconds. So this room could have been maybe like 3 seconds quicker, but that's not much for quite a surprisingly high variance room. Yeah, so I just missed the 1 hit on the iron, but managed to get it in 3. So yeah, lost a couple of seconds there. The big change between this run and my last run is going to be coming up soon. It's a technique Loz found called buffer jumping. I was also in a VC at the time. Just saying. That means I like get, you know, a tiny bit of credit for it. But it's a buffer jump, so essentially by jumping onto the gold in 2 rooms time from where we are now, by jumping, holding a direction, then releasing a direction and buffering a jump. So as you land and as you jump again, you're holding neutral, or not holding any direction. It's possible to get a buffer jump all the way across, and that effectively stops you going into the gold, which would normally respawn you back on the last platform you were on. So that saves a chunk of time. I think it saves like 20 seconds or something. And the way I did this room, if I remember correctly, was close to optimal. You'll see here, we still do the early P2 movement here. I've changed the P2 movement a little bit, so I jump over those boxes rather than trying to hold a more precise angle. Just a little bit of a safety thing. But then we've got the buffer jumps here, I think I make it to the middle in 3 jumps. Optimally, you can do it in 2, but 3's nice and safe, and then 1 jump across to the second part. And I hadn't actually done a run. Oh, I'd done 1 run on these splits with this new strategy. That's the 538 gold you can see. But I think, in fact, in the practice room at ESA, I got like a 531 or something once. This wasn't that clean a Greatest Kingdom, but I was still able to get into the low 530s. I think this was a 532. So we take those big time. But yeah, my mentality going into this run wasn't really anything. Like, I wasn't expecting much from this run. I hadn't played the game since Monday, so 5 days ago. And in that time, I'd like flown internationally, managed to navigate the hassle that was getting myself back up to uni and then getting myself back settled here, then trying to catch up with lectures and all that stuff. So there wasn't really any pressure on this run. But yeah, we then go into bush launch. Get a first try bush launch, and at this point I'm kind of thinking, okay, this could be something here. So I decided to play it risky. I got a good drop down there, so I went for a 2 hover. Very nice. Very nicely done. 2 hovers optimal to get across that unrestricted. So yeah, we definitely take those. And then kind of looking at my splits now, I'm thinking I could like just play it safe for the rest of the split, and I'll end up saving a little bit of time, and then play it safe the next split, and I'll probably lose maybe the same amount of time that I saved in this split, and then I can decide if I go for fast OTD or not. That's kind of my mindset for a lot of these runs. Like, once you get out of bush launch, theoretically, every single run at a high level, every single run you get out of bush launch, you should be able to take to fast OTD. Or at least that's my mentality. Or sorry, as it is on my splits, fast Greatest Kingdom in Middle Earth. I have a donation reward on my, or not donation, channel point reward on my stream to be able to rename the split names. So we have some pretty funky split names. We have Negotiations, which is the first level of LEGO Star Wars, The Complete Saga, and LEGO Star Wars 1. The 7 Harrys, which is the first level of Year 7 in LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 through 7. Minor Altercation, which I think is the first level of The Incredibles, but I might be wrong. Greatest Kingdom in Middle Earth, which is the first level of this game. And You Can Bank on Batman, which is the first level of Batman 1. Because of course. But anyway, I'm going to make my way over to the trigger here. And this trigger hit, you know, it is quite precise, but if you know kind of where to jump for, it's okay. So you see, I turn the camera around, kind of jump onto this spot, and first try straight into the trigger. I think if I remember correctly, my PB with the 909 is close to the best exit I've ever had out of the 7 Harrys, or Looking for Proof. So to be like, well, this is quite heavily sub 8 pace, or sub 9 pace, sorry. Obviously that helps being 15 seconds ahead at the end of the first level, you know. You don't kind of turn your nose up at that. But then in this level I also saved another, what's that, 5 and a bit seconds? If I hadn't had the weird thing where Gandalf got stuck a bit, I could have golded. There's still a lot of room to go down on that gold. I think CG is like 5 seconds faster than what I get, but that's fine. As we then enter this level, this is definitely my weakest level in the run. Like, it was just bad. Did not like. I mean, it starts off pretty smoothly. But yeah, since well, a lot's happened in the world of Lego The Hobbit restricted any percent between my last PB and this one. The day I got my last PB, which was at the time tied world record. I think about 6 hours later, the hamster then beat it with a 25:18, then beat it again with the first sub 25 with like a 24:56, which then a few days later he beat again with a 24:39. I wasn't really able to like compete back because, well, I think I had 2 tournament matches, 1 or 2 tournament matches in between my last PB and this. The first tournament match against Origin was quite a shaky one for me. I was feeling a lot of nerves, so I think in the end I came out with like a 28 and a 26 or something. I missed gem skip in the very first, in the first run, which wasn't great, but then that's fine. And then I had the match against Jack, and the match against Jack went absolutely amazingly. I got like, I think it was a 25:48, which is still, I believe, the fastest run of the tournament so far. And then I got like a mid-26 in the second run. So 2 really solid runs. That means I'm now on to play the hamster. And I'm playing the hamster tomorrow. As this video goes out, will be tomorrow 3 PM EST. I think that's what we agreed. So that'll be fun. That's also part of the reason why I was doing this run, because I needed to practice against hamster. And what else has happened in Lego, or in this game's timeline? Well, of course, I've been to ESA, or the Lego boys descended on ESA. The run I did with Loz and Origin commentating was absolutely awesome. And John's run before was really cool as well. So we definitely gave the Lego community a good showing. Anyway, going back to this run, this is where things went bad. So I had the death with Radagast on P1, that's really bad. I then was mashing with the wrong character here and actually missed that button input. And in doing that, that loses like a ton of time. That's like, I think that's like 7 seconds or something for something so minute. Because you now have to do an extra button mash on top of the time you lost by missing it anyway. So it's a longer time to lose, and yeah, not good. That was a pretty poor phase on my part. But anyway, we're into the auto-scroller. Into this fun stuff. And then we have the boss fight. I used to say a good run would be anything that leaves the Azog fight at 13 minutes. Now, with all the stuff that's happened in Greatest Kingdom and this just being a good run, I can't really say that anything that leaves the Azog fight above like a 12:45 is really worth carrying on. Probably even like a 12:30 or something. It's a big step forward. But yeah, this boss fight itself is a boss fight that exists. Not much I can really say in it. I'm gonna go for 0 studs because I have good stud amounts on both characters. They're not like mind-blowing, but they're tolerable. If I'd taken a death in the Azog fight room, in theory I could be on lower studs, but in reality, as long as you're on less than 8k with both players here, you can get you can like lose all the studs in one phase. It's really not strict at all. This is one of the things I think's quite difficult to get across at ESA. The fact that you have to like die so many times. Like, it just looks like you're just straight up jumping off the edge for no reason. But the reason we're doing that is obviously to get 0 studs. I also need to update some things in the tutorial. I need to remind myself to do that. Because some new stuff has happened in the tutorial. Nothing in this level, but I can't remember how many hovers. Like the stuff I want to zoom in on more detail, like the hovers across the river, certain aspects of like the jumps in LFP, some of the first, like the rolling section in the last level needs a little bit of adjustment. But all in good time. I'll get to that eventually. My priority at the moment is making sure I'm not like years behind on uni work, so it might be a bit of a quiet phase for me apart from the tournaments. We'll have to see. I want to try and get myself to the point where I like have a system where I can stream regularly, maybe like one afternoon on the weekends or something, but I really need to see how things pan out. But anyway, back to the run. Finish this. You can see we're losing time, but I did get 0 studs here, which is okay. So I only lost like 6 seconds. Yeah, 5 and a bit. If I didn't have the bad Azog fight, then I probably could have been even with PB, maybe a little bit quicker. That was technically a first tricycle launch, because I just didn't buddy up first time. I think still a little bit, tiny bit of rust. I thought I was close enough for the buddy up, wasn't quite. Like tapped the joystick and then was absolutely fine. And then here's where things kind of get a bit mad. I was debating for the whole run basically whether I go for fast OTD or not, and I went for it and got that, which is absolutely insane. I then tried to go for the camera pan skip and did that, which is, you know, very sad. But then I go for it again and get it second try. So not too bad. Because I'm also doing, or did fast OTD, I'm also going for 0 studs here. And because I've got both players with me, I'm going for the statue launch here, which is something else that needs to be like more affirmed in the tutorial. But I got a really good launch from the statue launch there. Took me right up to the top. That's like the optimal launch you can get. So apart from the death in this room, this was really optimal. A little bit slow on starting the 1P2C there, I think, because just I'm kind of surprised that it was this quick. But then do the thing with player 2 and taking the death with player 1. That's just a surefire way to make sure I'm on 0 studs. So yeah, before this run, I think 1842 is my best exit for this level. And after this run, yeah, it's a little bit less. The status screen usually takes like 14-15 seconds with 0 studs and like 17-18 without. So I rocked up with a 34 seconds ahead of PB with a 19-second goal. That was like a 206. I think CG's like a 158 or something. But we have time. The death, basically the only problem with that was the death in between fast OTD and statue skip or statue launch. But then we're in the forced rolling section here. And I actually can't remember how this went, but what I was thinking here was I have 13 seconds of leeway, effectively, for a sub 25, which has been my goal for a while. So yeah, it's not much because I am going or running up against a CG, like a community gold. So it's the only CG someone other than the hamster has. I'm very proud of it, although in reality it should be a lot quicker. So I get a bit stuck on the pieces here, but I managed to get the build off with Bilbo here. And I'm going to be setting up for a new skip here, which I think also, like, I haven't done before. This is the camera pan skip. So with Bilbo, I'm going to be falling down here. And actually, by falling down here, as this cutscene starts, you start the trigger for the next camera pan, I believe, to play at the same time or something. So that when you actually land down there, you skip about 3-4 seconds worth of camera pans and can immediately break the axe plate. It's one of those skips where it looks like you've done absolutely nothing and just thrown Bilbo off an edge for no reason, but you actually do. I also decided to go for 2-player chandelier skip here, because 1-player chandelier skip is stinky. And I'm way more consistent with 2-player chandelier skip, so it's like, it is what I prefer to go for. Even though optimally, you're losing like 3-4 seconds. The first try chandelier skip is only really viable if you can always get it first try. Which I am ashamed to say I cannot. But anyway, we're going to enter the unskippable cutscene here, and best pace I've ever been on. Usually, or like, I think my first sub 25 run had an unskippable cutscene entry of 22:20. Or 22:10, I think. So we're about a minute 10, I think, ahead when I enter the cutscene, which is it's pretty big stuff, you know?
I was just saying, your reputation precedes you, O Smaug the tyrannical. Truly, you have no equal on this earth.
And all I was thinking now was, well, don't mess up the launchers. Thankfully, my launchers have been really good recently. Like my last from launchers, or last area launchers, have been pretty consistent recently. Kind of when I was at ESA with Loz, we kind of went through, or went over Loz launching, and we found a really consistent setup for it now. Not really consistent, it's not like 3, but I'd say it's about 90% now. And yeah, we take 90%. 90% is probably way more consistent than fast OTD is for me, anyway. But yeah, we're going to set up for the first launch here. This launch usually doesn't pose too many problems for me, but I rarely expect it to go that well. It's been a hot minute since I've had a launch that good. But then I set up for Loz launch here. My 1P2C is a little bit shaky here, just tiny bit of rust. But then I get in the right position, get the jump, and unfortunately slide down there. It's not too much of a time loss. Costs like 3-4 seconds, maybe a little bit more, but still way quicker than not going for Loz launch. And now we have the 1P2C. Last 1P2C, well, last actual 1P2C section of this run, not like launch 1P2C. I kind of have that in a different bracket. Same with freeze clipping of 5 through 7. I don't consider freeze clipping to be 1P2C. Even though it clearly is, I consider it to be like a skip that requires 2 controllers. It's just a weird mentality thing, I guess, the way I look at it. When that action circle disappears, I usually say it's just under a minute till the end if I get a good jack launch. The action circle disappeared at a 23:49. So if you've read the title, you can tell that things went pretty well from here on out. Just make sure I was timing my torch throws on the Smaug fight. Managed that pretty well, and then I was just thinking I need to get a good drop out here. Almost quit to Middle Earth because I seem to be very consistent at doing that. And then we go into jack launch. So I'm doing 1 controller, 1 keyboard, 1P2C here. Which is, it's so much easier for this launch. But the pieces got in a really annoying position. I managed to like work them out the way and then get jack launch first try. And with that, managed to finish it up with a 24. Oh, I think that might have been a 45. But anyway, here's what I had to say right after the run. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, let's go. That run was insane. Ah! Dude, what? Apart from the Necromancer, that was like amazing. Oh my god. Ah, 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 ah. I think that's a inside info CG. Probably close to. Eh. I know it was close to gold for looking for proof. Negotiations is probably still like 5-ish seconds off, but we take those, baby.